From stories across the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Podcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Nitya Sarat.
A very good evening to you. I'm Tilina Udayaratna. We start off with a look at tonight's top stories. Poya Day religious observances are conducted under quarantined protection. The final rites of the 6th COVID-19 fatal patient carried out at the Kotikawatha crematorium. Total confirmed cases in the country escalates to 185. The Prime Minister says COVID-19 is the only enemy against the state. Balance of the COVID-19 Healthcare and Social Security Fund exceeds.
On your top story this evening, today marks the Buck Full Moon Poya Day, which signifies the second visit of the Lord Buddha to the island nation. The Buck Full Moon Poya Day also signifies many religious events in the Buddhist historical annals. The Lord Buddha visited to subdue the rivalry and settle a clash between Naga Kings Chulodhara and Mahodhara in Nagadeepa. Naga King Maniakitha extended invitation to Lord Buddha to visit Kalani on a similar day. The nation celebrates Buck Full Moon Poya Day amid the spread of the COVID-19 virus in the country. Mahasangha requested the Buddhist devotees to engage in religious observances while remaining in their residences, considering the present situation in the country. Accordingly, special religious programs were not organized in temples across the country today. The 196th Dhamma Sermon of the Dhamma Sisilasa Poya Day Dhamma Sermon series was held under the bow tree of the temple tree premises today. Offering flowers to the bow tree, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse invited the Mahasangha to deliver the Dhamma Sermon by offering a sheaf of betel leaves. Venerable Professor Induragare Dhamma Ratanathera of the University of Kalaniya conducted the Dhamma Sermon today. The Poya Day live telecast of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation was held at the corporation premises. The religious rites were conducted by Venerable Pannala Nyanalokathera. The Poya Day Dhamma Sermon was delivered by Venerable Dr. Mavaralle Baddiyathera. Venerable Dr. Mavaralle Baddiyathera said that the COVID-19 challenge in the country has become a difficult task to overcome, as certain individuals have not been able to understand the severity of the present situation. He also stated that certain individuals who have evaded the quarantine process have endangered the lives of their own as well as their loved ones. Therefore, the Thera said that the nation should extend their fullest support for the measures undertaken by the defence forces and the government to ensure the healthcare protection of the masses.
මරණ වරෙන්තුව ලියාගෙන තියෙන බව දැන් යාලට තේරෙමින් තියෙනවා. අද බලන්න අපේ පොලිසිවලට තියෙන වගකීම් මදිවටද මේ ඉන්න මෝඩරල එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එයාගේ විතරක් නම් කමක් නැහැ. එයාට පුළුවන් පවුලක් ඉවර කරන්න. අඩුම අපි මීටරයක් දුරවත් තියාගත්තේ නැත. අපි හරියට අතපය පිරිසුදු කරගත්තේ නැත. අපි මේ තියෙන නරක අයහපත් අවිනය පුරුදු නාහේ ආරණ එක ඇහැ අත ගන්න එක කටේ ඇඟිලි ගහන එක මේවා අපි වළක්ව ගත්තේ නැතොත් මොකද අපි අපේ ආසියාවේ මිනිස්සු පුරුදු වෙච්ච දෙනවා මේ පුරුදු එක්ක ගොඩක් හරි පුදුමයි මෙච්චර හරි බේරිලා ඉන්නවා ලෝකේ සෞඛ්‍ය පිළිබඳව බලධාරීන් කියන්නේ ටෙස්ට් උන් තුන් විටක් ඒක කියනෝනේ ඒකයි මම කිව්වේ අපි පුළුවන් තරම් හැම කැපවීමක්ම කරලා ඒ පහසුකම් ටික දිනු කරගන්න රජයට උදව් කරමු කියලා. සල්ලි භාගේ තියන අයට ඒ පහසුකම් ටික දිනු කරන්න රජයට වැඩපිළිවෙල කරගෙන යන රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරීන්ට උදව් කරන එකයි කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි අපි මේ වෙලාවේ කළ යුතු දේ.
Today, the temples across the country remained in this manner.
Dasmaine rakkata appamassayam kinchivittang idavauram vasagge suayam ratanam panitang anosamam atti tathagatena idam vibuddhe ratanam panitang etena saccena suatti hot.
Well, as far as the current status quo in the country is concerned, a total of 42 COVID-19 patients have been discharged from the hospitals following their successful recovery. Meanwhile, the final rites of the 6th patient who had died from the disease in the country was carried out this evening at the Kotikavatta cemetery. The final rites were carried out with the mediation of the Specialist Judicial Medical Officer, Divisional Health Medical Officer and Public Health Officers. The relatives of the 6th patient were present to pay their respects to the sealed remains. The Gotatu Administrative Public Health Officer said that the revealing of the remains of the relatives to the relatives was carried out under the relevant international standards and procedures. The final rites of the patient was carried out under the international quarantine methods. According to the Health Promotion Bureau, the total confirmed cases of COVID-19 infections in the country has escalated to 185, with the confirmation of 7 more infections today. Several patients admitted to the special coronavirus treatment hospital in Valikanda were also among the recorded and recovered persons. They were returnees from Italy and were directed to the Kandakadu quarantine centre upon their arrival. 135 active cases of COVID-19 patients in the country continue to receive treatment in the hospitals, including the Infectious Diseases Hospital in Angoda, the Valikanda Base Hospital and the Colombo East Hospital in Mulleriava. Another 225 persons are currently under medical observation. The entry and exit in Kanda Surindugama in Katana, Negambu has been temporarily limited. Public health officers in the areas have said that 750 members of 180 families in the area have been directed to a self-quarantine process. The area was fully disinfected today by the public health officers and the Katana police.
Now, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse emphasises that the only enemy against the country is the COVID-19 disease. The Prime Minister pointed out that this enemy can be defeated by acting together without any divisions. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse made these remarks while delivering a special statement over the present situation in the country tonight.
ලෝකයේම රටවල් 200කට අධික ගණනක් මේ වසංගතයට එරෙහිව සටන් කරන ආකාරයක් ඒ රටවල දහස් ගණන් ජනතාවගේ
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse said that the nation has witnessed from news on how more than 200 countries in the world are battling against the COVID-19 pandemic and how thousands of deceased have been taken to the cemeteries in those countries. He said that existence of a person is determined by the measures taken to prevent the spread of the virus. The Prime Minister said that Sri Lanka became the first country to establish a presidential task force for these purposes amongst the Asian countries. He said that the government took measures to halt the arrivals through the airports. He added that the government policy is to complete the needs of the nation without causing inconvenience to them. He said that they had not imposed the curfew in the country during the war period. The Premier said that the curfew was imposed adhering to the instructions of the medical specialists. He said that many factories, businesses and state offices had to be closed with the enforced curfew. He said that the government is in the process of fulfilling the utmost duty to ensure the daily lives of people without causing any hindrances. He said that they have extended many relievances for the nation by allocating a large sum of funds without even passing a parliamentary budget. He said the President had no opportunity to obtain the assistance of the Parliament on this matter. He also said that the Parliament failed to extend their assistance in passing a vote of account to maintain the affairs of the public sector before dissolving the Parliament. He then questioned the nation with the democratic authority the use of reconvening the Parliament under such circumstances. The Prime Minister said that the entire world is aware on how the head of the World Health Organization, over a telephone conversation with the President, had appreciated and praised the President's current measures undertaken by the government in this regard. He added that over 5.3 million people had received direct benefits from the government. He said that no need to engage in further dialogues or debates when the people are faced with such a crisis situation in the country. The Prime Minister said that the benefits were granted at a time where the country's revenue earnings earnings are not in a stable condition. He added that all government revenue earning ways have been hindered at present. The Premier said that the government will not give up on the duty to battle against the crisis. He said that the government has not taken any decision considering political, religious or racial discriminatory divisions. He said that leaders of all parties in the country have come forward eagerly to assist the government. He pointed out that the present situation in the country is not the time for any divisions. He said the sole enemy against the state is the COVID-19 disease. He said that the nation should be able to overcome the situation by looking at the issue through a humanitarian point of view. He said that the country has a brigade of doctors and healthcare staff dedicated to render their services for the betterment of the nation by sacrificing their lives and distancing from their loved ones. He said that the doctors in the country have assured that they will continue to serve until they contract the disease. The Prime Minister said that healthcare staff in several other countries have discontinued their services for not receiving necessary face masks. However, he said that the country has a nursing staff which has produced their own masks to provide services without fail. He also said that public health officers have dedicated their lives and continue to render their service by visiting home to home. He also reminded and praised other public sector employees who have dedicated themselves in providing services to the nation without fail. The Prime Minister also said that the commitment of the local government institutions should also be appreciated. He said that the Tri-Forces have made a massive commitment in this regard. He added that they are engaged in the operations to locate COVID-19 patients and to direct them to necessary treatment centres. The Prime Minister said that the entire nation should get together in winning the battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. He said that he is proud of those who have dedicated in rendering their services. He said that the nation should stand tall as a strong self-sufficient country by developing local industries and local cultivations after defeating the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. He said that the country has faced many challenges in the past. He said that the nation has made many sacrifices during the 30 years of war. Therefore, he has requested the nation to make the sacrifice on behalf of the nation by remaining in their residences in order to win against this epidemic situation. He said he believes that the country could be able to stand tall without encountering the tragedies faced by other nations owing to the spread of the disease. He said that the nation should stand not only as a strong developed nation but also as a healthy nation.
The government has reached a decision to introduce a new methodology on issuing curfew passes under the instructions of President Gotabaya Rajapakse. Accordingly, issuance of curfew passes will be carried out under 4 processes. Under the instructions of the President, Acting IGP C.D. Vikramaratne has prepared the new methodology on the issuance of curfew passes. Police headquarters, officers of senior DIGs in charge of provinces, superintendents in charge of divisions and police stations will be under the 4 processes of methodology. Accordingly, the police headquarters set to issue curfew passes for any institutions with 50 or more employees in the Colombo district. Officers of the senior DIG in charge of the Western Province has been authorized to issue curfew passes for any institution with 50 or more employees in Gampaha and Kalutara districts. Officers of senior DIGs in charge of the other provinces will be authorized to issue curfew passes for any institution with 50 or more employees as well. Officers of superintendents of police will handle issuing curfew passes for institutions with 10 or more and less than 50 employees from their respective police divisions. Each police station will be authorized to issue curfew passes for institutions with less than 10 employees in their areas. The police stations will also be authorized to issue permits for any individual on humanitarian grounds. Employees of the Presidential Secretariat, Prime Minister's Office, ministries, departments, corporations, statutory boards and authorities can use their service IDs as curfew passes. Stern legal action will be taken against those who misuse their service IDs. More details on the new methodology can be obtained from the official websites of the Sri Lanka Police, www.police.lk, and the Government's Information Department. The government has imposed the island-wide curfew with the intention of preventing unnecessary public gatherings to prevent the further spread of the coronavirus in the country. The President's Media Division has mentioned that it has been observed that a large number of people gather at police stations to obtain curfew passes, which has hindered the COVID-19 prevention measures taken by the government. The curfew imposed in the districts of Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Putlam, Kandy and Jaffna, identified as high-risk zones, will continue until further notice. In all other remaining districts, the enforced curfew will be lifted at 6 a.m. on the 9th of April and will be reimposed at 4 p.m. on the same day. The week from yesterday to Friday, the 10th of April, has been declared as a period of work from home for the public and private sectors. Movement between all districts has been completely prohibited except for the purposes of providing essential services. Those who misuse regulations introduced with the prime objective of ensuring a smooth and efficient functioning of essential services in the country will be penalized. The government has initiated a mechanism to ensure the continuous supply of essential commodities, enabling the public to purchase necessary goods at their residences itself. Those who engage in paddy farming and cultivation of small tea holdings and export crops in any district are permitted to carry out their activities. The government has requested the public to strictly adhere to the guidelines placed by the relevant authorities in a responsible manner, as the purposes of these measures have been to ensure the well-being of the people of the country at this critical situation. The villages declared as isolated areas in the districts of Colombo, Kalutara and Kandy will remain in the same category, and no personnel will be allowed to enter and leave from these areas until further notice. 1,107 persons have been arrested in the past 24 hours over violating the enforced curfew. 326 vehicles have also been taken into police custody. Accordingly, a total of 15,902 persons have been taken into custody on charges of violating the curfew during the period from the 20th of March till 6 a.m. today. The number of vehicles apprehended by the police during this period has amounted to 3,991.
Now, taking a look at the rest of the world, some of Europe's hardest hit countries recorded lower confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus disease, offering tentative hope that the pandemic could be slowing down in the region. Now, however, global concerns remain high following the British Prime Minister's admission to the intensive care unit, while Japan is expected to declare a state of emergency today. A total of 74,843 people have died of the COVID-19 virus globally, as the number of infections surged over 1,350,000 as of today. The novel coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, has affected 209 countries and territories around the world in 2 international conveyances. The United States, which now has the highest infections, has reported a total of 367,650 confirmed cases, with the number of deaths climbing to 10,943. The state of New York suffered the most deaths in the country, with more than 130,000 confirmed virus infections and nearly 5,000 deaths. So far, 90% of the U.S. population is living under the stay-at-home order, yet 8 states have not issued such an order yet. The number of COVID-19 cases and new deaths continue to fall in Spain, with the total number of confirmed cases recorded in the 24 hours rising by 5,029 to 136,675. The number of deaths rose by 700 to 13,341. The total number of coronavirus cases in Italy has increased to 132,547, while that of deaths hit 16,523, as new cases in Italy are slowing down and the number of patients in intensive care has also dropped for the 3rd day in a row. The confirmed COVID-19 cases in Germany have increased by 3,252 within one day to 103,375, while the number of deaths from the novel coronavirus in the country has increased by 226 to 1,810. France has reported 833 new coronavirus deaths in the past day, the highest daily toll since its outbreak began. The COVID pandemic has claimed 8,911 lives in France, with total confirmed cases reaching 98,010 in the country as of today. In Asia, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declared a state of emergency for Tokyo, Osaka and 5 other prefectures to curb the spread of the new coronavirus after an alarming growth in cases of urban areas. A total of 3,906 confirmed cases have been reported in the country, with 92 deaths. Thus far in Tokyo, more than 1,000 confirmed cases have been recorded, more than double the number a week ago. The number of COVID-19 infections in India has surged to 4,770 28, with the death toll at 136 as per figures announced by states, even as lockdown in the country continues to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked people how to be prepared for a long fight while asking ministers to plan a slow exit from the lockdown.
Well, in the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved into intensive care at St Thomas's Hospital after his coronavirus symptoms seem to have worsened. UK's Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, the most senior cabinet minister, has been requested by the Prime Minister to deputise for him to continue the government's direction in responding to this outbreak. In the meantime, Britain has confirmed 51,608 COVID-19 infections thus far, with a total of 5,373 deaths in the country.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who is battling coronavirus, was moved to an intensive care unit on Monday after his condition worsened. Johnson was taken to St Thomas's Hospital in central London Sunday night and was undergoing tests after suffering persistent symptoms for more than 10 days. Earlier on Monday, Johnson tweeted, "I'm in good spirits and keeping in touch with my team as we work together to fight this virus and keep everyone safe." But later in the day, a spokesman said Johnson had been moved to intensive care as a precaution. While his symptoms have gotten worse, his Downing Street office said he remained conscious. Since his diagnosis, Johnson has carried on leading the government's efforts while teleconferencing from self-isolation.
We're working clearly the whole time.
Britain has no formal succession plan should the Prime Minister become incapacitated, but a spokesman for Johnson's office said he asked Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab to deputise for him where necessary. And on Monday, Raab stood in for Johnson at the government's emergency meeting on COVID-19.
And he continues to lead the government.
Now, in the meantime, Germany has drawn up a list of steps, including mandatory mask wearing in public, limits on gatherings, and the rapid tracing of infection chains to help enable a phased return to normal life after its coronavirus lockdown is set to end on the 19th of April.
A draft document seen by Reuters details Germany's multi-step plan to end its lockdown and that its government assumes the global pandemic will last into 2021. Germany's lockdown laws are set to expire in just under 2 weeks. Shops will be allowed to reopen, as well as schools in select regions, though strict social distancing measures will still be in place. Border controls will be relaxed, but large events and private parties will remain forbidden. And as soon as enough protective masks are available, it will be made compulsory to wear them on trains and in buses, as well as in factories and public buildings. The draft action plan says the measures should be enough to keep the average number of people infected by one person below 1. The country has been under lockdown since March 22. Germany has a low mortality rate among coronavirus patients compared to other European nations, which experts say is due to a high number of testing. The document predicts a staged return to normality, backed by mechanisms that will make it possible to track more than 80% of people an infected person had contact with within 24 hours of diagnosis. Infected people and those they had contact with will be quarantined, either at home or in hotels.
Well, in Hong Kong, it seems that as thousands of locals and expatriates return to the city, many are still seeking refuge in hotels, fearful that cramped apartments in one of the world's most expensive property markets could put families or flatmates at risk. The country has recorded 915 cases and 4 deaths of coronavirus up to date.
As locals and expatriates return to Hong Kong during a chaotic period of social distancing, many are seeking refuge in hotels, fearful that cramped apartments in one of the world's most expensive property markets could put families or flatmates at risk. For student Christopher Wong, his daily life is restricted to this hotel room with some strict orders from hotel management.
We're not supposed to leave our room, and they're not doing room cleaning services as well. And then any trash we have, we're supposed to put it outside of the door ourselves.
Wong returned from the UK just a day after Hong Kong imposed a mandatory 14-day quarantine on all overseas arrivals. He must wear a government-issued quarantine wristband that tracks his every movement. And when he wakes up,
I take my temperature and make sure I'm not ill, probably order food delivery, and do some of my uni work and just chill a bit, watch TV.
The bulk of the city's 7 million people lives in flats that are no bigger than 500 square feet. So for Christopher, he says he's happy he can stay in a hotel room and not put his family at risk.
A lot of families in Hong Kong, myself included, like mine included, may not necessarily have homes large enough for home quarantining. And I guess that does pose some sort of an underlying health implication. My home only has one toilet, and that has to be shared among all my family members, my dad and my mother. And pretty much most of the space at my home is communal, which means I won't be practically possible to keep myself completely away from them.
As of Monday, Hong Kong has nearly 900 confirmed coronavirus cases.
We're coming back to Sri Lanka. A meeting between the heads of media institutions and ministers, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena and Dallas Alaperuma, was held last evening at the government's information department premises. The attention of the meeting was directed on the present situation in the country due to the spread of the coronavirus. Attention was also directed on the responsibility of mass media under the present situation and prevailing issues faced by media institutions. The assistance rendered by the media organizations for the prevention of the disease was appreciated during the meeting. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that media institutions have carried out many awareness programs over the disease, successfully using many strategies and methodologies. He said that they have extended massive assistance in providing a complete understanding over the coronavirus pandemic. Minister Dallas Alaperuma said that the country is at an optimal level in controlling the present situation, comparing to several European countries and the USA. The minister said that the people have prioritized hope over food, as people are in need of hope to confront this challenge. The duty of mass media is to render this hope for the masses. Attention was also directed on creating awareness over the relief program of the government. Minister Dallas Alaperuma said that 5,000 rupees allowance has been granted for Samurdhi beneficiaries and other related persons. Head of the Presidential Task Force, Basil Rajapakse, explained to the President the mandatory 80% retained deposit clause imposed on the Samurdhi beneficiaries to grant the allowance should be revoked under the relief program. Accordingly, the President agreed to revoke the stipulated clause, he added. Director General of the Government Information Department Nalaka Kaluwewa, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation Dr. Nihal Jayatilaka, and Director General of the Corporation Ajit Naragala, and heads of public and private media institutions were present on this occasion.
Now, a donation worth 60 million rupees was made to the COVID-19 Healthcare and Social Security Fund by the Ministry of Defence and the Sri Lanka Police. Accordingly, the balance of the fund has exceeded 420 million rupees. A donation worth 10 million rupees accumulated with the voluntary contributions made by 1,202 personnel attached to the Ministry of Defence was handed over to the fund by Secretary to the Ministry of Defence, retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne. Acting IGP C.D. Vikramaratne handed over a donation worth 50 million rupees today. The financial donation was made through the special fund of the Sri Lanka Police. The donation was accepted by Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara. All the donations will be credited to the special account opened under the numbers 85737373 at the corporate branch of the Bank of Ceylon. Local as well as foreign donors have made their contributions to the fund. Donations to COVID-19 Healthcare and Social Security Fund have been exempted from taxes and foreign exchange regulations. Deposits can be made through cheques or telegraphic transfers. Further details can be obtained from the Director General Administration of the Presidential Secretariat, KB Egudavalla, through the telephone number 0112 354 354.
The Presidential Task Force for Essential Services has decided to open all Ayurvedic hospitals in the country during the curfew enforced period. The decision was reached during a meeting of the Presidential Task Force. The meeting was convened under the patronage of head of the Presidential Task Force for Essential Services, Basil Rajapakse. Several decisions were related to the Ayurvedic medicinal sector, and these were made at the meeting. A minimum of one branch of Ayurvedic medical centers registered in all divisions in the country should carry out their services as mobile operations during the curfew enforced period. Steps have been taken to import highly consumed herbal medicine, including coriander, ginger and tree turmeric, also known as Venivalgetta, during these days. Ayurvedic doctors registered with the Ayurvedic department have been permitted to visit the residences of patients in critical condition for medical examination. The Presidential Task Force has also decided to transport the medicine of the patients registered with the Ayurvedic department through the postal service. Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi was also present at this occasion.
Now, in the meantime, a new methodology was introduced for the distribution of local food rations, including vegetables and fruits, on the Divisional Secretariat level. Now, these special activities were introduced by the Subcommittee on Essential Food Rations, functioned under the Special Presidential Task Force established under its head, Basil Rajapakse. Even though successful measures have been undertaken across the country to distribute essential food rations, including vegetables and fruits, on a divisional level, the health authorities have indicated that a health risk may occur with the large public gatherings in special economic centres. Therefore, the Prime Minister's office has indicated that a new methodology has been initiated from the 5th of April. Instead of the transportation of stocks of vegetables and fruits to economic centres and the distribution to other areas in the country. Accordingly, Dambulla, Thambuttegama, Nuwara, Kappetipola and Ambalapiti economic centres will not be open for traders. Instead, trading activities can be carried using telecommunication mediums. The Committee for the Distribution of Essential Food Rations, established in each divisional secretariat, should inform the coordinating centre of the economic centre on the required stocks of vegetables and fruits for the registered in their division before 10 a.m. on a daily basis. The Subcommittee on Essential Food Rations is informed that the relevant order should be below 7,000 kilograms. An agreement should be reached between the Divisional Secretariat and the economic centres over the required quantities of goods and the price rates. The coordinating centre of the economic centre should inform on the possibility of supplying the relevant orders before 2 p.m. on the same day. After agreeing on the price rates and quantities of goods, the Special Economic Centre should transport the relevant goods to the Divisional Secretariat. The ordered quantities of goods should be handed over to the traders through the committee established in the divisional secretariats. The unloading of the stocks from lorries should be carried out by the traders who have purchased the goods in accordance with the recommendation of the subcommittee. The quality of vegetables should be reported to the economic centres. The Prime Minister's office has stated that the operations of these economic centres will be carried out under the new methodology until further notice. The coordination of these tasks will be carried out under the operational centre of the Presidential Task Force for the coordination of a continuous supply of public services and post-examinations.
Well, apart from all of this, to take people's minds off things, many musical programs have been organised across the country by the Sri Lanka Army, Sri Lanka Navy, Sri Lanka Air Force and the Sri Lanka Police. For the mental wellness of the people remained in their residences, this is just a glimpse. Well, that's it from the Rupavahini news desk for tonight. Make sure to stay safe, stay indoors and take care of yourself. On that note, join us once again tomorrow. Until then, thanks for watching. Good night.
Good night.